Today is the 5th of April, the 41st day of the full-scale war started by Russia in Ukraine. And we are going to do our digest of the events that we promised to do every time, and we try to keep to this tradition. We'll start with Melitopol city, which is remains under occupation. The city itself, Melitopol, is located in the south of Zaporizhya region, approximately 120 kilometers south from Zaporizhya, from the regional center. One of the city symbols is the would-be cherry fruits. And the reason to that is because the climate is very good to grow tasty cherry fruits. The people, the witnesses who made it to escape from the city spent about 2 days to get from Melitopol to Zaporizhya, Idest, to cover this 120 kilometers. They had to spend overnight nearby Vasilievka, nearby the block post of the orcs, and Vasilievka is exactly located at the front line between the zone that Ukraine keeps under control and the temporarily occupied zone. Melitopol itself was occupied on the third day of this full-scale war on February 26th. On the March 1st, the locals first time made their public meeting, public protest against the vehicles, military vehicles, which showed up in the city, and the occupants. For the next 2 weeks, they held peaceful protest meetings, but after the 2 weeks, the place where the residents of Melitopol were doing the everyday meetings, then this area was encircled by several military trucks with military people which belong to Russian army, also special services, as well as some others who come from military men whom they recruited from the fake republics in the east of the country. They began to kidnap the activists, took them out of the city, and some of them had to walk back by foot. Soon they began using light noise grenades to threaten the people. There were cases when the activists, when they were catching the activists individually from among the protesting group, and they kept them captive for the few days. What we also heard is that 4 of the local secondary school principals were kidnapped. Not even one secondary school agreed to collaborate with the occupants in order to start. The occupants, they wanted to start educational process in schools in the Russian language since April 1st. Obviously, this plan of them didn't work. There is no cell connection with the city. no internet as well. What they do have is Russian radio and Russian television. The next person we heard from, the next reporter we heard from was telling us about the situation in Crimea. There, in Crimea, which was annexed in 2014, they are trying to use local men in order to send them to the war here in Ukraine, but they do it in such a way that they try to cover up the recruiting process, like do it in a hidden way. We get messages, the people, local men, they are receiving messages to show up at the military recruiting office just because they want to specify some details in their personal data. Of course, this is not a true intent, and if the person arrives, the person is offered short-term military agreement, and they use the reason for that they use in order to improve your financial condition. Sevastopol, which is the military center, the center for the Russian Navy at the Crimean Peninsula, the local citizens get special offer. What kind of offer? The offer is that their criminal cases started against them, criminal cases started against them will be nulled, and they will receive some protection against certain criminal responsibilities if the men agree to sign a short-term agreement, short-term military agreement to join the Russian invasion army. There was an interesting case that took place in Alushta city, which is also in Crimea. The person was caught at the car accident, and when the police arrived, the person get penalty not for causing the car accident, but the person was condemned in extremism because he used the term "glory to Ukraine." Now, the other, when it comes to the everyday life, it is still hard there for the people in Crimea. People have shortage of medicine, even special medicine to treat cancer and diabetes. The people get SMSs that currently there is a shortage of medicine, and they will feel this shortage until Russia would produce their own medicine. Of course, this is the result of the sanctions against Russia. In the food shops, at Crimea, they experience a significant raise of prices. For instance, even the fish and the seafood, which may sound strange as this is a peninsula surrounded by the sea. So the reason specifically for the shortage of the seafood is very simple: military activities. Local farmer which grows the seafood cannot supply 100 tons of his product just because, which he catched, just because he cannot leave the harbor, as in the aquatoria of Sevastopol harbor there are military ships which are launching missile bombing against Ukraine. But the other thing where Crimea is also involved is that some of the people, local citizens of the temporarily occupied territories here in our part of Ukraine, they send them out to Crimea, and we already experienced the same thing back in 2014. However, this evacuation is a fake one in a way, because they do not leave the people in Crimea. They send them further somewhere to the Russian Federation, and our reporter calls it that they play football with evacuees. Now, after the Crimea, we go to Luhansk region, which is in the east of Ukraine, and we told some more about the geography and the prehistory in our previous digest. Luhansk nowadays experiences extremely hot phase of the war. The situation is really severe because Luhansk and Donetsk regions are located directly nearby the nearby aggressor. What they do there in Luhansk, in their offense, they literally, almost literally, they use gunpowder, meaning they send more and more people as the gunpowder. To the war. They send them to the war. They send newly recruited people from the fake republics, and they send some of them not teaching them even how to shoot, but send them right away into the battle. It's typical gunpowder. The purpose is to get Ukrainian army exhausted in constant battles. However, Ukrainian army stands strong there. The occupants get extremely mad because they feel helpless in their offense, and also they feel that Ukrainian army is really powerful to fight them back. Three key cities where the most actions take place in Lugansk region would be Lysychansk, Rubizhne, and Severodonetsk. These three places, they comprise agglomeration of the cities, and the total amount of people in these three neighboring cities would be about 250,000. These three cities are not big by the size and not big by the area. However, they provide very severe resistance. The occupants are still unable to capture these cities. All these places, all these locations, they stay constantly under bombing and shooting, under attacks. However, they don't give up. In Severodonetsk, in one of them, the aggressors completely destroyed one of the buildings of the central university in this area, which is called Eastern Ukrainian University after Volodymyr Dal. The president of Ukraine had to assign 2 more local military civilian administrations to administer specifically Rubizhny and Lysychansk separately in their fight, in their resistance. Even the fact that former mayor of Rubizhny city betrayed and joined the occupants changed nothing in the city's status. Rubizhny remains Ukraine. Russian army, in spite of all their efforts, is able to control only the part of the city. The evacuation keeps going on. It's hard to imagine how that actually happens and how that's possible, but it goes on. There are buses, even the trains still work. Often they have to operate under the shelling. All the evacuation is free for the people. It's provided for them for free. There is no light, no connection, no internet, no electricity, of course. People are isolated without information. It is done by local police, by local Ukrainian police, which constantly patrolling the places, the shelters, and they warn people about what they need to know. Tell them, they also inform them about how to get evacuated. Ukrainian authorities call all of the people from Luhansk and Donetsk regions to get evacuated, as their life is under very high threat. Now we move back to our own region, Berdyansk city, our major seaport in the region. Berdyansk was occupied on February 27, and today we were unfortunately unable to talk to our contact there, who was providing us with information for all of this period of time. However, I mean, we were unable to talk to him during the broadcasting, but we talked to him before and a little bit later, and this is because the connection is not stable. So this is what he wanted. We just would like to express his points that he would like to be heard in the world around. The news number one that the Berdyansk citizens are interested is where the Ukrainian army is, and today they figured out that comparing to some time ago, maybe it's like last week, the Ukrainian army is now 60 kilometers closer to the city. That's what they look for, that Ukrainian army would get closer and closer to liberate them. They are also witnessing that humanitarian project of the occupants is collapsing. For the second day in a row, there is nothing new. They bring nothing of what they promised. No medicine is given away. No medicine that people requested, to control the blood pressure, for instance. And those things that they do give away, the people, they don't need it because they can get that in the marketplaces without the occupants. Also, they witnessed informational fake and other propaganda. They witnessed it as they saw it through Russian TV, that as if Audio's Russian singer Checherina, as if she was there to put up the banner of the occupants. However, that didn't happen. She was not there. And although this flag that they neglect very much in Berdansk, the three-color flag of Russian Federation, they do put it at two of administrative facilities. However, at all other locations, there are still Ukrainian banners. From the observation of our colleague there, who is our reporter, and he's a scientist actually, he watches closely the behavior and the mood of the occupants for all this period. And what he watches now is that the occupants, the military people, they do not feel confident anymore as they used to be. They actually feel quite insecure. They do not feel like the lords of the situation as they used to be. Obviously, this is because they feel fierce resistance and they don't feel any support in the city. And of course, we've heard some time ago that Ukrainian army had exploded the military ships of the Russian Federation there, so they feel quite insecure. Also, still there are problems with the cell phone connection. And this is the problem at that covers almost 60% of the territory of our region. Now that problem is what is quite painful for the local residents in Berdansk, because informational isolation, they feel they are very unhappy about that. It is very hard to feel themselves isolated, and so they are very glad that literally 2 days ago some cell phone connection and some internet connection, not stable, but some of it was restored. And that is why we were also very happy to be able to talk to the men yesterday and today. Now our last but not least news from today, very promising, and it's about one other victory, which is actually international victory for our country and for our region. The news arrived from Poland, from Gdańsk city, where the Secretariat of the Union of Baltic Cities is located, and we had the colleague, even my own colleague, Anna Sashnitska. She works at the Secretary of UBC. That is the abbreviation for Union of Baltic Cities, and she was with us online via Zoom, live during broadcasting, and she told us that Vilnyansk city, the application from Vilnyansk city was approved. The application was to accept Vilnyansk city as associate member to the community of the Baltic cities. Everyone in the Presidium voted for Vilnyansk. And our city, the neighboring city to Zaporizhya, which is Vilnyansk, it's a small city, just about 15,000 population. but it remains free, which is what the meaning of the city. It's a free city, Vilnyansk in Ukrainian. And not only they remain free here, but they also joined the European network of other free cities, European free cities in the Baltics. And this actually very happy news, because we started the process back in November, and the threats of the war and the preparation to the war actually put some delay. However, now we were able to move on, and in spite of the war, regardless of the war, the city is accepted. And this is the step both from Vilnyansk and from our friends, the cities in the Baltics, which shows that right now, even in the current conditions, the cities in the Baltics are staying together with Vilnyansk, as well as with many other locations across Ukraine, to help us make through this time and to get victory. And even now, there is very close cooperation between many European cities and cities in the Baltics and Ukraine. We will also, the mayor of Vilnyansk was also on air, and she said that in spite of the war, in spite that the people are, of course, busy with other key responsibilities, however, they would like to proceed and initiate some of the developmental projects and initiatives, which was actually the purpose why they applied for the membership in UBC back in November. So Ukraine and our region, we keep fighting, and the life goes on. We even keep developing here and moving forward into the future. Hope for the victory, that it will come soon. Thank you for standing with us, and thank you for, really, we don't know where you all are located, but please spread the news. We feel your support, and if you want to maybe contact our region directly, if you have any interest in our region, please feel free to contact our radio na dotik, which means radio that stays in touch. We will stay in touch with you. Goodbye.